Hi everybody, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and this is part 5 of my Janome 15,000 continuing saga of woe. And what you see right now is a 15,000 machine. It is not my machine. My machine is in at the shop for repair. And as I said in part 4 of this, the plan was I would exchange machines with the shop machine, and I would use this for an indefinite length of time. Actually, I don't think I told you about the indefinite period of time for using this. What happened was we exchanged machines. I took mine into my local quilt store and I exchanged it with the one in the store. Now, the one in the stores had several people over the past year or so, how long they've had that machine. I think it's been more than that. I think it's been a couple of years, but the same length of time as I've had mine, maybe even a little longer for them. And this machine has been used by at least 3 other people for a variety of projects. And according to the store owner, they have never had a problem with it beyond, the standard problems you sometimes have, which are thread breaks, which are very, very minor, usually. So here it is. Now, I got this about 5 days ago from the store, and I haven't done the embroidery on it yet. Now, I did do some sewing on it. In fact, I created an entire quilt top on this machine, and the sewing function on it works perfectly. But the sewing function on my machine works perfectly as well. It's the embroidery that we're having the problem with, as you know. So, the store owner contacted me last night, sent me a text message asking me how her machine was functioning, and I told her what I just told you about the sewing part, but I hadn't yet put it through the embroidery part. But I told her my plan for Saturday morning, which is when I'm doing this right now, was to put it through its paces and make sure it's working okay. Now, I have to tell you that I am extremely hesitant. That is one reason why I haven't started embroidering on this machine yet, since I've had it for 5 days. I'm procrastinating, and it's out of fear. It's out of fear that I might wreck her machine. Now, let me say again, I'm doing everything the manual tells me to do and what the store owner has told me to do and the whole bit. I am not doing anything different. And on my machine, something major is wrong with it. That's what the whole thing is. The reason I have this machine indefinitely is because she wants to get up a tech person from the Janome in the States, the head office, who is the expert on these machines, to look at it. But during this COVID crisis thing, that could be months, that could be a year, who knows? I might be even optimistic at that. So that's why she told me I have this machine indefinitely, which, I have to send a shout out to Shirley at Ultimate Sewing here in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, because she has been extremely supportive, and I know I must be a major pain in the butt. Okay, so, she's gone out on a limb here, and that's the other reason why I'm a little afraid. I don't want anything to happen to her machine. So I said that to her. I said, so if something happens? And she said, well, then it's you. I don't think she was necessarily kidding when she said that, okay? And I get that. I do. I totally get that, okay? So I'm doing this with apprehension. Now, before I started doing this morning, I decided what file would I do? I wanted to do something that is relatively quick, but has a number of color changes and is somewhat on the complex side. But would represent, the usual kind of embroidery thing you might be doing. So I have this. I've had these for a while, called Kaleidoscope Animals. And you can see there's a lot of colors in each one of these. And so there's multiple changes in colors, for anywhere from, I think, about 14 up to 20, depending on the one you do. Now, I've done this one already, this bear. And he turned out fine. I had one thread break with him. It was minor, not a big problem, carried on. So, and I'm doing this at 500 stitches per second, or per minute. This machine will go up to 1,000 stitches per minute. And I used to run my machine at top speed. Again, because I'm apprehensive, I'm running at 500, so half the speed. As I get more confident, I hope I get more confident, I will up the speed at some point in time. So I thought I'd let you see and hear how this machine is working right now. And you know, crossing my fingers that nothing happens. But you know, when you start to videotape something, that's when you're gonna have a problem. So I've already set up for one of my colors. I'm doing, just to show you here, I'm doing this one, the lion's head this time. I've gotten a few things done on it already in here. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I'll move this over a bit so you can. A little awkward, I'm sorry, but there you go. So I'm just going to put you back. And we'll see what happens. So I've got my next color threaded into the machine. It's all set up. I like to double check here on the lever arm to make sure my thread is on where the lever release or whatever they call that, because that's where you can have some problems if that's not sitting there correctly. Your thread can go haywire. And just as an aside, this machine's thread's slightly different from my machine. It has a steel bracket up here on the top. Let me see if I can show you this. So right here, there's a steel bar, whereas mine has more of a channel in here and it goes under it. It's a piece of plastic. I kind of like this idea. And I think this model is a little newer in design than mine because of that. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think that's a really good idea. Now I'm just going to move you a little bit closer. Sorry for the jiggling. Just want to see you can get a good look at this. Okay. So, here we go. Fingers crossed. So you hear this right now, all right? That's the way the machine should sound. I should not hear a strain on the bobbin underneath as the thread comes off. Occasionally when it changes position you will hear that, but that's pretty much a normal sound. But I have to admit, when I do hear that sound, I jump a little bit. I'm telling you, I'm shell-shocked. So I'm hoping that this is all going to work out okay without any major problems. And as I said, I'm only running at half its full speed at the moment, and that's just for my peace of mind. Now, I am debating whether or not I should invest in the 550E. My husband has one, as you know, and it works fine. Now, did you hear that? I don't know if you noticed over my talking. There's a little click. That's the sound I hate hearing, because that means that my bobbin, I think, in my theory, without seeing it, is kind of bouncing up a little bit out of the bobbin case holder. And as you know, that it shouldn't come right out, but that's what I'm afraid of. If it comes right out, that's where I could have a problem. It could catch on the bobbin case, throw the whole machine off, my needle goes through the bobbin case, and I'm screwed. Now, as I said, Shirley said that they have never had any major problems with this machine and they've used it a lot. Okay. Now back to the 550E. I'm debating whether I should invest in it. It's about $2,400 Canadian before taxes. It's just a dedicated embroidery machine. We already have one in the house, but I don't like using other people's things, even if it is my husband's, because, you know, I don't want to wreck it on him. He doesn't do as much embroidery as I do, but he does do embroidery. So, you know, I just have a thing about wrecking other people's equipment. Kind of a deal. It's one thing for me to wreck my own, because that's my fault. I don't want to inflict the problem on somebody else. So, right now, knock wood, not say too much, it's working fine. Right now. And it has been. So I will come back when this is finished and give you a report on how things work out at that point. Okay, so I finished this piece of embroidery, and as you can see, it worked out pretty good. I think I only had one thread break right at the very beginning, which was very minor, no big deal on that. You can see the back of it. no major nests or anything, which is what you want. So this turned out pretty good. And as I said, these designs are fairly complex, which I think are a good representation of what designs I would mostly use. I'm a little bit in the dark in here, I just realized, but it's worked out okay. So that says to me, it isn't me, it's the machine. Something went majorly wrong with my machine. So I'll be talking to Shirley about this and showing her that things have been working fine. I'm a little bit more confident with using the machine. I'm still a little shell-shocked though, I have to admit to that. My decision on to whether or not I'm going to buy a 550E, I think I'm putting that on hold for now, and we'll continue on and see how this works. Now, I do have a really major embroidery project that I want to do, and I've been hesitating to do it because it's about 18 tiles. It creates a Santa scene. It's a banner, or not banner, but a wall hanging. It's very intricate. I've bought the pattern for it. The pattern was fairly expensive, and well, that's the project I want to work on next, in bits and pieces. I also want to start quilting some of my UFOs, and I've got quite a few of them. I don't think I will use the embroidery part of my machine to quilt them. I think that may have been what caused me a problem with my other machine. I think it got tangled up in the quilt and I didn't realize it, and I think it did a lot more damage to the machine than I thought it would have. But they know about that, and they were looking into what things that could be a problem with, so I don't know. So anyways, right now this is working out, so that's good, and I'll keep you up to date on my continuing saga with the 15,000 Janome Horizon machine. Bye for now.